the trans-Saharan slave trade, which then turned into the transatlantic slave trade. As you see, the road is rough, so be mindful of that and make sure you get a van and somebody who knows how to drive it. As we were driving from Tamale to Bolgatanga, we randomly saw this sign that said that was a slave site, and we were like, wait, should we do a detour, stop, go see what this other slave site looks like? It's very interesting because, as we've mentioned, there are lots of slave sites across Ghana. So while you think that they're the big name ones, they're the ones that everybody knows, there are also clearly small hidden ones that you can take a look at. We've made it to the Sakpuli slave site. We made a stop, you know, at the Sakpuli slave site, which actually ended up not being a great thing to do, but it was really interesting because we got there and we drove down to see the site, and as we were driving there, we ended up in a village, like a community, and we're like, what is going on here? And then it turned out that to invite us into the space to see the slave site, we would need to follow the local customs of seeing the chief, being greeted by the chief in celebration, and we didn't have enough time for that. And that is word to the wise. If you are in West Africa and you do not have time to sit with a chief, like the head of a community, then you need to really politely decline. So we ended up skipping that slave site and continued on our journey. We just got to the Bolga crafts market, which was honestly incredible. Ibrahim, smile.
Hey.
This is good. Ibrahim. We are in Bolgatanga.
Yes, live in Ibrahim's antique shop.
Yes.
Ibrahim's mud cloth.
Yes. His mud cloths. Where do you get them from?
From Mali, Burkina. We source them. We produce ourselves.
And he goes across the border.
You can see a piece of indigo.
Ah!
Wow.
Look at that.
We
are staying at the Akayet Hotel here in Bolgatanga. It is really, really a nice hotel. I think that's the thing about traveling to the north. You either have to accept that the hotels will be extremely lackluster and no frills, or you gotta pay out of pocket. The Akayet Hotel is really lovely. The rooms are really spacious. It's also very modern. The interesting thing about coming to the north is that there's so much to do up here. You can do shea butter farming. You can go to the crafts market. You can see people weaving. You can go to the different slave sites, the slave baths, the slave wells. You can see the baobab tree and the way that they harvest that. But the thing is that stuff is far away. So everything is 2 to 3 hours away. So it's once you fly up and get to Tamale, you still have to drive 2 and 3 hours to go different places. You have to drive 2 and 3 hours to get to Salaga, to see the slave wells. You have to drive 2 and 3 hours to get to Bolga, to really, and even an hour north of Bolga is where the shea butter mecca is, where it's incredible, and shea butter is just falling off the trees. It's crazy. If you really want to see this place and you want to see it well, 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks if you got the time and you need to take rest and you take it easy, but definitely consider spending time here, really dedicating your time and energy to not only this area, traveling around, but learning the insane history of the trans-Saharan slave trade, which turned into the transatlantic slave trade, which is wild. You would not believe it, but the white people learned everything from the Arabs during the trans-Saharan slave trade, and so they mapped it to the transatlantic slave trade.